there is a throne no one speaks of. It sits in shadow, untouched by moral light, unadorned by mercy's silk. Those who approach it do so with trembling hands or none at all. It is the seat of power that demands not love, but fear, not kindness, but clarity, not gentleness, but the ruthless precision of a blade that cuts clean. Niccolo Machiavelli sat before this throne and spoke its truth. He said, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." And the world recoiled. They called him cold, immoral, a serpent whispering poison into the ears of princes. But perhaps what disturbed them most was not the cruelty he described, but the mirror he held up. A mirror that reflected something we all carry but refuse to name. Because here is the paradox. The ruthless rise, the kind often fall. The strategically cruel shape history while the morally pure are crushed beneath it. And if you look closely, if you dare look at all, you will see that power does not belong to those who love well. It belongs to those who understand. So tell me, is cruelty immoral? Or is it simply unmasked? Is ruthlessness a sin? Or is it the courage to act when others freeze in moral paralysis? And if you deny the darkness within you, if you bury it beneath virtue and shame, does it disappear? Or does it sharpen itself in the shadows, waiting for the moment your innocence shatters? This is not a story about becoming cruel. This is a story about seeing clearly, about descending into the labyrinth where Machiavelli carved his philosophy into stone, and discovering that what we call evil may be nothing more than honesty without costume. Let us walk this path together, into the fire, into the iron, into the psychology of strategic cruelty, and the terrifying wisdom of the ruthless mind. The birth of dark clarity. Florence, 1513. Niccolo Machiavelli sits in exile, his political career destroyed, his name stripped from the halls of power. He has been tortured, betrayed, cast out by the very republic he served. And in the cold silence of his disgrace, he begins to write. Not with bitterness, but with surgical precision. He writes The Prince, a manual, a confession, a scalpel pressed against the throat of political fantasy. In it, he dissects the machinery of power with the clinical detachment of a physician examining a corpse. And what he reveals is this: power does not care about your morality. It cares about results, about survival, about who remains standing when the dust settles and the blood dries. Machiavelli did not invent cruelty, he merely described it. He looked at history's throne rooms and battlefields and asked the question no one else dared to ask: why do the virtuous lose? Because virtue, he concluded, is a luxury of the stable and the protected. It is a silk robe worn in peacetime, easily torn when the storm arrives. The rulers who survived, who expanded empires, who crushed rebellions, who shaped the fate of nations, were not the kindest. They were the most adaptable. They understood that mercy, given at the wrong moment, becomes weakness. That forgiveness, extended without strategy, invites betrayal. That love, when it blinds you to threat, becomes the blade that kills you. Machiavelli observed the Borgias, ruthless, calculating, feared across Italy. He watched Cesare Borgia eliminate rivals with surgical cruelty, consolidate power through strategic terror, and transform chaos into order. Not through goodness, through control. And Machiavelli wrote it down. He said, "A prince must learn how not to be good, not because goodness is weak, but because it is inflexible. A ruler bound by moral rigidity cannot adapt, cannot act when action demands compromise, cannot wield the knife when mercy would invite massacre. This is not nihilism, it is realism." Machiavelli was not celebrating cruelty. He was exposing the delusion that power operates by the rules of conscience. He was saying, if you want to survive in the arena of influence, you must understand its true laws. And those laws are written not in scripture, but in blood and bone. The world hated him for this. They burned his books. They cursed his name. They called him the devil's philosopher, but they could not refute him. Because deep down, they knew he was right. History does not reward the merciful. It rewards the strategic, the conscious. the ones who see the board clearly and move without hesitation. And if that requires cruelty, if survival demands the sword, then the question is not should you wield it, but will you do so with awareness? Or will you pretend your hands are clean while others do the cutting for you? Machiavelli's genius was not in endorsing evil. It was in unmasking hypocrisy, in showing that those who claim moral purity often wield cruelty unconsciously, through negligence, through weakness, through the arrogance of believing themselves above power's demands, and that the truly dangerous are not the ruthless who know they are ruthless, but the virtuous who believe their hands are clean. The illusion of moral purity. There is a lie we tell ourselves. It goes like this: I am good, I am kind, I would never hurt anyone, and perhaps on the surface, it is true. You smile, you apologize, you follow the rules, you wear the mask of morality so well that even you believe it. But beneath that mask, deep in the unmapped regions of your psyche, there is something else. Something cold, something calculating, something that knows exactly how to destroy. Carl Jung called it the shadow, the part of you that you exile, the impulses you deem unacceptable, the aggression, the selfishness, the cruelty you refuse to acknowledge. You bury it beneath layers of virtue, of politeness, of self-image. You tell yourself, that is not me, but it is. And the more you deny it, the stronger it becomes. The more you insist on your innocence, the more dangerous your unconscious cruelty grows. Because repression does not eliminate darkness, it ferments it. It transforms conscious cruelty, which can be controlled, into unconscious violence, which cannot. Jung wrote, "Everyone carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is." In other words, the most dangerous people are those who believe themselves incapable of evil. Because when cruelty is unconscious, it wears the costume of righteousness. It justifies itself. It calls itself love, or justice, or protection. It says, I am hurting you for your own good. It says, I had no choice. It says, I am the victim here. And in that delusion, it becomes monstrous. Machiavelli understood this. He saw that the rulers who claimed divine right, who wrapped themselves in moral authority, often committed the greatest atrocities, not because they were ruthless, but because they believed themselves good. They burned heretics in the name of God. They waged holy wars to save souls. They justified genocide as moral duty. Their cruelty was absolute because they could not see it. But the Machiavellian prince, the one who knows he is ruthless, acts with restraint. He uses cruelty strategically, sparingly, only when necessary. He does not revel in suffering. He does not pretend it is virtue. He simply acknowledges it as a tool and wields it with precision. This is the paradox Nietzsche recognized when he spoke of strength beyond good and evil. He did not mean amorality, he meant clarity, the ability to act without the paralysis of moral guilt, without the self-deception of righteousness, to see the world as it is, not as we wish it to be, and to move through it with conscious power. The snake which cannot cast its skin has to die, Nietzsche wrote. As well, the minds which are prevented from changing their opinions, they cease to be mind. To integrate the shadow is to shed the skin of moral fantasy. It is to look at your capacity for cruelty and say, yes, this is mine. I will not pretend otherwise. Not to celebrate it, not to indulge it, but to own it, to bring it into the light where it can be controlled, understood, wielded with intention rather than erupting in unconscious fury. Because the alternative is catastrophic. The alternative is the passive-aggressive friend who never confronts you but poisons your reputation behind your back. The nice leader who avoids conflict and lets their organization rot. The virtuous idealist who enables tyranny through inaction. The parent who smothers with love and calls it care. These are not good people. They are unconscious people. And unconscious cruelty is always more destructive than conscious strategy. So perhaps the question is not, should I be ruthless? Perhaps the question is, will I be ruthless consciously or unconsciously? Will I wield power with awareness, or will I let it wield me? Because the ruthless rise, but the unconsciously cruel destroy everything, including themselves. The psychology of power. Power is not what you think it is. It is not a throne, not a title. not the ability to command armies or sign legislation. Power is psychological. It is the capacity to act without internal collapse, to see clearly when others are blinded by emotion, to make decisions in the void where morality offers no guidance. And it belongs to those who have integrated their darkness. Jung described the process of individuation, the journey toward wholeness, as the integration of the shadow, not the elimination of darkness, but its conscious incorporation. Because you cannot become whole by cutting yourself in half. You cannot become strong by pretending weakness does not exist. You cannot wield true power by denying the parts of yourself that frighten you. The Machiavellian mind is not cruel for cruelty's sake. It is aware. It has descended into the labyrinth of its own psyche and met the Minotaur, the beast of repressed aggression, of survival instinct, of strategic coldness, and instead of running, it looked. It asked, "What are you? Why do you exist? What purpose do you serve?" And the beast answered, "I am your strength. I am your clarity. I am the part of you that will survive when everything else is stripped away." This is not sociopathy. Sociopaths lack empathy. They cannot feel the weight of their cruelty. The integrated individual feels it, but is not paralyzed by it. They understand that compassion without boundaries becomes exploitation, that mercy without discernment becomes naivety, that love without the willingness to protect becomes complicity in harm. Machiavelli's prince is not a monster. He is someone who has accepted the full spectrum of human capacity. He does not pretend kindness will always work. He does not delude himself that the world operates by moral principles. He sees the board clearly, the allies who will betray, the enemies who will exploit mercy, the moments when hesitation invites catastrophe, and when action is required, when survival or purpose demands it, he acts, not with rage, not with sadism, but with the cold precision of necessity. This is what terrifies people, because most of us live in moral fog. We make decisions through the distorted lens of guilt, of social conditioning, of unconscious fear. We say yes when we mean no. We forgive when we should set boundaries. We tolerate abuse because confrontation feels cruel. And then we wonder why we feel powerless. The Machiavellian mind does not wonder. It knows. It knows that power is not given. It is taken through clarity. It knows that influence flows to those who can hold tension without collapsing. It knows that the ruthless rise not because they are evil, but because they are unafraid of their own capacity for strategic action. Nietzsche saw this when he wrote, "He who fights with monsters should look to it that he himself does not become a monster. And if you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss also gazes into you." But he was not warning against the abyss. He was warning against denial. Because if you refuse to look into the darkness, you will never understand it. And what you do not understand controls you. The repressed shadow does not disappear. It leaks out in passive aggression, in self-sabotage, in unconscious cruelty disguised as virtue. But the one who gazes into the abyss, who meets their own capacity for ruthlessness and does not flinch, gains something invaluable: sovereignty. The ability to govern themselves, to choose cruelty or mercy not from compulsion, but from conscious strategy, to wield power without being consumed by it. This is the psychology of those who rise, not because they are heartless, but because they have integrated their heart with their iron. The modern throne. You think this is ancient history, Renaissance politics, warlords and princedoms, dusty philosophy with no modern relevance. But look around, look closely. The throne has not disappeared. It has simply changed form. Today, it is the boardroom where a CEO fires hundreds to save the company. The courtroom where a lawyer demolishes a witness to protect their client. The negotiation table where silence is wielded like a blade. The relationship where boundaries are set and enforced, even when it hurts. Power is still power, and the ruthless still rise. In politics, Machiavellian strategy is not the exception, it is the rule. The candidate who projects strength, who frames the narrative, who knows when to attack and when to retreat, wins. Not the most virtuous, not the kindest, the most strategically clear. In business, companies that succeed are not those led by the most compassionate. They are led by those who can make hard decisions, who can cut failing divisions, who can pivot without sentimentality, who understand that loyalty without performance is a luxury the competitive market does not allow. In relationships, the people who command respect are not the most accommodating. They are the ones with boundaries, who say no without guilt, who walk away from toxicity without drama, who understand that love without self-respect is not love, it is self-erasure. The modern mirror reflects Machiavelli perfectly. We worship the illusion of niceness while rewarding the reality of strategy. We condemn ruthlessness in public while practicing it in private. We tell ourselves stories of moral heroism while the world is shaped by those who understand leverage. Consider the tech giants who monopolize markets, the politicians who manipulate media, the influencers who curate personas with surgical precision, the activists who weaponize moral language to destroy reputations. Are these people evil, or are they simply conscious? They understand that attention is currency, that narrative is power, that emotion can be engineered, that the crowd will follow whoever controls the story, regardless of truth. And they act accordingly. This is not a call to become manipulative. It is a call to see clearly. Because if you do not understand the game, you will be played. If you cling to moral fantasy while others wield strategic clarity, you will lose. Not because you are good, but because you are naive. Machiavelli's insight was not that you should abandon morality. It was that morality without power is impotent. That virtue without the capacity for strategic action becomes victimhood. That compassion without the willingness to protect becomes complicity in harm. That integrity without boundaries is simply useful to those who have none. The modern world demands integration. It demands that you become both kind and ruthless, both compassionate and clear, both loving and willing to wield the sword when necessary. Because the alternative is collapse, personal, professional, existential. The ruthless rise because they are not in conflict with themselves. They do not pretend. They do not apologize for their power. They do not hide behind moral performance. They simply act, with precision, with awareness, with the understanding that power is not inherently corrupt. Power is neutral. It is a tool. And like any tool, it can be used to create or destroy. The question is not whether you will have power. Everyone does in some form. The question is whether you will wield it consciously or let it leak out unconsciously, poisoning everything you touch. The modern throne is everywhere, and those who see it, who understand it, who do not flinch from it, they are the ones who shape the world. The internal struggle. But here is the razor's edge. Here is the place where most fall. Because integrating ruthlessness is not the same as becoming ruthless. There is a line, thin, sharp, invisible, between strategic clarity and moral corruption, between wielding power consciously and being consumed by it, between the Machiavellian prince and the tyrant who drowns in his own cruelty. Jung warned of this. He said that to integrate the shadow is not to become it, but to contain it, to hold the tension between light and dark without collapsing into either. Because if you repress the shadow, it controls you unconsciously. But if you identify with it, you lose yourself entirely. This is the internal struggle. The fire that must be tended, not extinguished and not allowed to rage unchecked. You must develop the capacity for cruelty, but never lose the discernment to use it sparingly. You must understand manipulation, but never make it your default. You must be willing to hurt others when necessary, but never forget that necessity is rare. This requires vigilance. It requires self-examination. It requires asking constantly, am I acting from clarity or from ego? From strategy or from sadism? From conscious power or from unconscious wounding? Because the seduction of ruthlessness is real. Once you taste the efficiency of strategic cruelty, once you see how quickly problems dissolve when you stop accommodating, stop explaining, stop caring about being liked, it becomes intoxicating. The world bends, people obey, obstacles vanish. And you begin to believe that this is the only way, and that is when you lose your soul. The tyrant is not someone who wields cruelty. It is someone who cannot stop, who sees every interaction as a power struggle, who trusts no one, who builds empires of fear and dies alone, surrounded by servants who celebrate his death. The Machiavellian ideal is not tyranny, it is sovereignty, the ability to wield iron when required and set it down when it is not. To be ruthless in strategy, but compassionate in spirit. To protect your boundaries without building walls so high that nothing and no one can reach you. This is the path Nietzsche called the tightrope. He said, "Man is a rope, stretched between the animal and the Superman, a rope over an abyss." To walk this rope is to hold both darkness and light, to refuse the easy comfort of moral certainty and the seductive power of unchecked cruelty, to remain human while wielding the tools of power. How do you do this? Through awareness, through constant self-reflection, through asking, am I serving my highest purpose or my wounded ego? Am I protecting something real or feeding my need for control? Through restraint, through recognizing that just because you can crush someone does not mean you should. That mercy, when chosen consciously, is not weakness, it is strength under control. Through connection, through maintaining relationships not based on power, but on vulnerability. Through allowing yourself to be seen, to be challenged, to be reminded of your humanity. Because the ruthless who rise and remain whole are not isolated predators. They are integrated beings. They can be cold when strategy demands it, and warm when love calls for it. They can cut clean when necessary, and heal when possible. They do not confuse strength with cruelty, nor compassion with weakness. They are the iron wrapped in silk, the sword sheathed until needed, the fire that illuminates without consuming. This is the mastery Machiavelli hinted at but never fully articulated, because he was writing for princes, for those already in the arena of power. But the deeper truth is this: everyone is a prince of their own life. Everyone must navigate the tension between morality and survival. Everyone must decide when to be kind and when to be ruthless. Everyone must integrate their darkness or be ruled by it. And those who do, those who walk the tightrope without falling, they do not just rise, they become free, the crown of clarity. So we return to the throne, the one in shadow, the one no one speaks of, the seat of power that demands not love, but understanding. And now you see it differently, because the throne is not outside you, it is within. It is the place inside yourself where decisions are made, where clarity governs, where you choose in each moment how to wield the power you possess. Machiavelli did not write The Prince to create monsters. He wrote it to awaken those who were sleeping, to strip away the comfortable lies we tell ourselves about morality and power, to show that the world does not bend to virtue alone, it bends to conscious action. And Jung completed the picture. He showed that power without self-knowledge is tyranny, but self-knowledge without the willingness to act is paralysis. That the goal is not to be good or ruthless, it is to be whole, to integrate all of yourself, the light and the shadow, the compassion and the cruelty, the capacity to heal and the capacity to harm. Because only the integrated can be trusted with power. Only those who know their darkness can prevent it from consuming them. Only those who accept their capacity for cruelty can wield it with precision and restraint. Only those who have descended into their own depths and returned can lead without corruption. This is the psychology of the ruthless who rise and remain whole. They do not apologize for their strength. They do not hide their sharpness, but they also do not lose their humanity in the pursuit of dominance. They are the ones who can sit on the throne and not be consumed by it. They are the ones who understand what Machiavelli truly meant. It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Not because fear is superior, but because respect built on clarity is sustainable. Because love without boundaries becomes exploitation. Because kindness without the capacity for ruthlessness is simply weakness waiting to be used. But here is the secret Machiavelli could not say. The ultimate power is the power to choose, to be capable of cruelty and choose mercy, to hold the knife and set it down, to wear the crown without letting it crush your humanity. And when you reach this place, when you have integrated your darkness and emerged intact, You no longer need to dominate. You no longer need to prove your strength. You simply are strong. Quietly, completely, unshakably. This is the crown of clarity, not gold, not jewels, not the worship of crowds, but the simple, undeniable sovereignty that comes from knowing yourself fully, from accepting your capacity for both creation and destruction, from walking through the fire and emerging neither consumed nor unscathed, but tempered. This is what the world needs most. Not more tyrants, not more victims, but integrated individuals who can hold power without abusing it, who can be ruthless when necessary and compassionate when possible, who can navigate the moral complexity of existence without collapsing into absolutism or nihilism. The ruthless rise, but only the conscious endure. Only those who see the throne, understand its demands, and choose to sit with both humility and strength. So the question is no longer, should I be ruthless? The question is, can I hold the tension between light and shadow without losing myself? Can I wield power without becoming its slave? Can I be kind without being weak and strong without being cruel? If you can, then the throne is yours, not to dominate, but to govern yourself, and in doing so, to shape the world. The serpent does not apologize for its venom. It simply knows when to strike and when to coil in silence.